I'm glad Lumba died.
Tell us why.
First, no na me so I didn't Lumba wu, but I'm glad say Papa ne wu.
Reactions after the final verdict from the judge that sat on the case of Daddy Lumba. Lumba died somewhere in July, and the first wife wanted a clarification as to know who is the legitimate widow of the deceased. Well, the final verdict is out. So let's watch the reactions from the parties that were involved in this particular lawsuit.
Hi, GH. Good morning. Okay, I wouldn't fault anyone who would actually see that video and term it as a celebration. I think it has more to do with the country we live in, our cultural layering. Okay, so it's just right for any individual to see it and call it a celebration. However, I had my own reasons for doing what I did. As to the process to how it happens, I don't think it's even needful for anyone to know. But I believed solely that she has gone through a lot. The defamatory, the derogatory statements, the insults, the name callings has been a lot. It's just a weight on her shoulders. So when I heard the news whilst I was outside, I felt like there was a need for me to come around. And so I got a couple of them, actually 7 in number. And I did what I did because I feel like upon everything, there was a need for her to be drenched in something finer than the insults. Okay, that was why I did what I did. So if whoever is singing it and they would term it as a celebration, I mean, that's our culture. When you see someone sprinkle powder and whatever on an individual, we say that, oh, they are jubilating.
So there you have it. That was Odo Broni's sister was pouring champagne on her sister after the final verdict from the judge, which says basically that all 2 ladies or all 2 women should be given the right to take part in the widowhood right of the late Daddy Lumba. That was the final verdict from the judge. Now, let's listen to what Mami Akosua Serwaa have to say after the final verdict from the judge.
Adofo, anopapem, Akosua Serwaa Fosu na me fremo de asida kese emamu. Idi kan ye de asida ma enyankopon. Etoso masida koma social media platforms so fo nyina. Etoso me de Ghana fo nso nyina adofo nyina so me damase. Legal wives for legal wives for husband. Adofo nyina mintumi ka edinsa mebobo a mintumi mobo. For papa she osofo. Mrebi baya na minim se me wa adofo sa na ma chredo. Mama me hu se say me so dofo bi eti ho. Aseme baya no ni mako amanie bebre mu. Enso no still mujina pintin time echi. Biko me koto dwanim me damase. But mama me hu say me so me ka ho bi. Ti momo enfo odo efa mbom na yenya baako. Na nkunimdi no eye dia. Ko si de ode ne ho to awurade so no. Ade nyara di boa no ma ewie ne yie. Yeso ye de ho ato no so. Ti me damase because enya na dom anka me nim se mu nyina akra no na obi kai me. Nti ma se nyina ne se asida enkam obia awurade hwemo so. Na on kai ho Yesu ndin mu no nkunimdi ebeba nkunimdi bi awurade dia nti no edamase.
From Mami Akosua Serwaa, she's kind of is a demure lady, quiet, focused, and steady. She hardly talks. Still waters run deep, that kind of a lady. So she hardly talks. And you can even see from the video that she has to take a lot of courage for her to come and sit behind the camera and and utter words. And that was her reaction. Well, let's go to town. Well, just after the final verdict from the courts, of which the lawyer for Mami Akosua is planning to do an appeal, let's get this from the street. The street basically is what other people are saying. First, hear from the two main players in this particular law case, which is Daddy Lumba, Mami Akosua, Odo Broni, or Priscilla. The two have had their say. Captain Smarts of Onia TV have to say, or Media General have to say, concerning this particular case, pointing accusing fingers towards evangelist Papashi as a confucianist who is trying to sabotage the funeral of Daddy Lumba.
Papashi, who now Lumba Yaka? Papashi, what about Paki or Ford now? What the crusade at the time when I over Bopuma you? Me and let me Pieba. Papashi, if you want to know, tell the one how many times, sir, me peer free fear. I bet you Lumba gate rano, someone Bopunu you, and my mamma bomb may be any. Who now Lumba Yaka? Papashi, or Lumba Chow be our cream. Whoa, Papashi. Whoa! Let's all pass over Pacho. They said over Palumba, Papashi. And then pan or the Yakodo, and said no person over Panacho. I don't know for example, send you a Chianco Pacho. Then I can't deal with you to be that dancing ye. Any others? Whoa, Papashi, whoa! Really? Hey, Ghana, so you more, Jimmy. Me doing a me to the acid I am quite ye would die. Whoa, Papashi. Peter, not once, not 5 times, or the bopun ye mieno. Hey, many braco jo ya, dear. Never come bobbing me fee, and another come born only fee. And she said, who call on the gate? I know a mimi who won't so bad me gate. I know no affirming. Sabia Bruce Sabia Yado, Minya Lumba Bushi and me will be beer. But men Pino Bia to Tron to Kodoso, and they've been because I sit now, Papa and Metina or Tantra Hills, no. 7 years Bonia and Yamikra Triabica. Oh, yes, Lumba Pema, who ye and a 2 pen. Oh, we are ma 2 pen. Ah, Lumba pa. 2 near pay. Say that you away and ma 2. Side check about the unity, so there's no side check. Oh, we are Bama, now so your side check. I am to me. There's no side check. Say, pa, you want your 2 pen about Contaqua. Bet 3, 4, 10, 15, and James are. Lumba Pema or Lumba Pemo, say ma 2 pen. Woo, Papashi, woo. Bible. No, I can't wait. We me doing a quite so for no boy. Hey, or tie Lumba to the level, say, oh, I thought of Lumba and then so. And then Lumba woman, woo, what by you, woo, what by you for Papashi. Bema de papa no sanso de she nti bema ba she papa she. Hey, you should shut up. Stop that rubbish you are doing in this country. Papa when she no that Jimmy no wo be bo punu ma ye mieu all kinds of TV sunu radio say o tell na ko bo punu ma na Odo Broni mbie no I went to the same day no Odo Broni mbie Lumba na catch yen say sa wo ba get na no bi ma me yan fra no because we ye nipa bone ade a we ye no catch me ba me ntimi kan o ade a we ye Lumba no o catch me ba me nkan we ye nipa bone. So we have mistake is not quarter, remember the can. Ebe we are seeing that wo papa she wo. Once I me buy na me mo papa she di me calculate me pesa system no mu ye di na me abetum me mo ye. Me sa na me ya ba di o. Papa she oye nipa o Tan Lumba chen bibia wasase so wo. Hwe, mafia. Ada Kwadwo kasa asem na chem no osun. Bisa se den tran ne yaka. Musa papa she said den tran no ne Lumba yaka. And then Lumba wuya. Wo shi wuya ho tesa wo yodofo pa bi. He me ne Lumba koto perfume. I was shop with me money because me bought shop ni di pair e se me kan asem no. Ye koto perfume. No she sa mu hoodie o sa ba de sa na e fre no. Hoodie no. Ye two car na ye kono. Ena papa ye friend no Kempo ye odi ni to nwumi. O friend wo car ni. No so, menia, pacho Kempo na friend no. On fa call them mama na me driving to no na wo dey tare maso ho amame. Na mpeke Kempo ko. Na me tare Lumba so ho no so driving. That time no I call the temple. Ye wo Jim bi wo Kingsby roundabout. Ye for the temple. Na ho no wakwa aba. And then ye kwa kwato. It was a Saturday. And come on, cross over me and was soon there, then na speaker. But owie ye no. Lumba you be a if you on kana semo. So when him Kwadwo pa. Me o to me for catch him say nipa hu ntwom a. Either so be respectful. And I say unrespectful you. Obi hu pa. So familiarity breeds contempt. Say obi hu pa. Either so be boo and I say on boo. Enti commodity ni mu na wo shi we sa wo papa shi we waje wanim kusu mu aye hu asasa bro sama chiri ba wo ene wo papa shi na me fa wo nto ho me pese obeyi ano menyam te se bodwe ase aburu ayabra na beyi ano mon kan che sa mo papa shi no wo ene wo so we jai nkwasi anyomoto evangelist evangelist
from Captain Smart of Onia TV or Media General having his opinion or bite. Two ladies, Ohima Uyeje and Saliman, also have their take on what they think about the case, what their opinion and verdict and criticism after the final judge from the case. After the final judgment from the case.
Okay, say Baha, I think it's a Thursday, mboa. Say ka say
yeah, Baha Thursday, and you be doing come before the judgment.
Yeah, chen verdict na ma verdict aba. But verdict na anya no kware. Te say de wo ka ho asam no na embra no eye enipa na hyehye. Nti when it's time to shoot the narrative, o betimi a twist it. I'm gonna save it and suit your narrative. But one thing, and then me per se, yenya consolation. If you say, I'm glad Lumba died.
Tell us why.
First, pa no na me so Daddy Lumba wu, but I'm glad say Papa ne wu. Say beya, Mami Akosua Serwaa benya ni peace of mind. Lumba died so that the woman can actually see herself again as a woman. Because he was a constant reminder of the sacrifices and the pain I know I go through. No, it is a no. That's when you be my say you don't see the pain. Time no pain no will go. It's immediate. I sit here and I say I'm glad he died, and I'm glad he suffered before he died. Because no one can say why they also a bray or like 15 years. Say, why won't you suffer?
But must you say that?
I am saying
for
that
for the sufferation part.
No. He needed to go through that because you see, you can't cause people pain and expect to say what you say. We will be okay. You can't cause people pain and expect say you'll be fine. Because from every indication, your system, your tradition, near the no, and boa hima. And boa warrior in a sense say why a traditional marriage na wie no because say tete no ana yetena ho no be ma hu meboa hu oba no akonebusia ho akoye investigation ahwe say yare owo ana eda wonyama bia wo mu a ansa said oba ne sitie na oba waka say oh me hu flower bi ofie ha ana mpesa me yedai me plugge. The fact is say o shemba nyina wo wiase nyina no oba wo hima wo do adno no e kire say waka wona akoma mu say oba dedicated to you. That's what it means. It's whether traditionally, whether legally, or be a warrior, no woman, born of a woman, has the right to obeka so oba be kotare ho. Or be a justify court to justify say traditionally or warrior in 90, like or warrior in 2010. Bayenshe, e be ne warrior madam Akosua Serwaa. E warrior 1991. It's 19 years after the marriage. Na cry better home. Why are we not talking about that? Why are we not talking about say are you so wrong to say or be a worry? No, but why are we not talking about that? But rather no, I say Endra Dazi TV I think guy na where channel na yede Diana no or interview lawyer Kusino.
Okay.
He says something say everybody is looking at the half of their glass.
Yes.
What I say?
Yes.
But a formula in so many films ushieguma a shiegu asia na ba half no nobody is looking at that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so profound. Say boy need to be nyasa adwene ka say we are looking at and so no half na bedru no na down no ansa na bedru half this way. What are we talking about it? Why are we not talking about that? Because if we baby ne bedru baby 19 years of sacrifice. Utien kofo semwa. Oni Daddy Lumba nyana na eye nkrata. Na so se Lumba adwum poninti ne krata no sa anyeye. Anyeye mo betena Ghana. Obetena Ghana sister ni nya ne de. No de be ware o. Ko no Nyankopɔ pɛ se wo kire ne se. Wonye ni papa. Etie se oba ne boa no humiliate no. Also oba ne boa na humiliate no. How can you so be a ware o? Wo kan ho asem. There's no single and you my year bar a bar woman. Akosua Serwaa first. There's no new. It is hard na wo ye ni nyase na wo pra no dem. No shada be bonum wo abonte for us to see say you are a good husband. You deserve to die. E wona lumba ewu no. E wo so wu. Na Akosua Serwaa enya liberation. Because maame no sister, those who are suffer. When you said nanu ya 3 days ago. Me call me uncle ho. Say Lumba kwa osabe di. Me cousin. Echi. I know person me cousin the cry woman. 102.9. What you say no? That was his lifestyle. That was the person that he was. By a shielding. All because say Akosua Serwaa who say he was her investment. It won't be cancer and say investment. That was her greatest mistake. That was some many greatest mistake. And oba me catch say your tradition any ade no a failure. Ko bema ko chiti said your boss oh bema de and what's what no oba ba ko bema de sa no yakopo bo bema so won chiti. E he for ne ba say Adam chiti ye. Onyakopo bo ba ni bema. So what are you talking about?
I know the man Rebecca said how I pen the Ohundra.
Hello, tia. Sano Nyakupo Bono.
That's what they would say.
Sano Nyakupo Bono. Ano Nyakupo ma Adam die. No yin and fe empario. Ano de de or the bo Eve. Eti beme bia be wari oba. Bibi free wo ho. Sano wa wari oba no. Eti oba de say who holding in high esteem. The fact that we are not talking about the 19 years will be better. That is where the challenge is. That is where the challenge is. I mean, many Madam Akosua Serwaa. Akame hokro mensa. Every be out the Odo Broni. If you saw no, the happiness and they say all cause another woman pain. That's what she thrives on. It's a me mama no. Can you remember? What I say? Me mofra dear of. A friend say age. On person take a decision to come. But me, remember, in fact, a Japadian don't remember me man for man. But they made in the brain you're coming for the crown contest. One fa
really?
Yes, and I wouldn't. You know why? Because bear man and they say oh no. Oh no. That's the plain simple words. Any day. Enyum ye dey.
Edin Serwaa yo.
No, me say enyum ye dey. What you say? Even 2019 na no worry. Odo Broni no allegedly no. What granting interview no. Ewo and the dossier. What said the yiri ye baako pe?
He said it.
What kai said the yiri ye baako pe? It is a when you shameless. I can man what denounce you wa bontia denounce wa bontia so much. Akawu unu obi baba be pray ho. Afo bi am pray ho. Te me de Madam Akosua Serwaa Lumba had to die. But Akosua Serwaa to walk free.
All these are reactions coming out of after the final verdict of the case of Daddy Lumba's first wife, seeking a clarification from the court who is the rightful widow of the late Kwadwo Fosu, aka Daddy Lumba. Well, as it is now, there are more to unfold. And if you are here with me, you know what it is. I'll be bringing you the gist. Now that the court case is solely over, anything concerning Daddy Lumba as it drop, you'll be here to get to know about it. I'll see you. Bye-bye.